Well, it's never pleasant to have to lay people off and look for ways to cut back. And we were excluded from cutting in a number of areas by the General Assembly. So we only had certain things we could look at, and it came down to basically merging the Educator Effectiveness Division and the District Transformation Division. There were other cuts too. I'm glad to report that we have not significantly cut back any services to teachers as teacher coaches, even though we went from 12 to 10 months for those employees. And we haven't cut back on the help that we're giving schools, but we're not going to be able to supply the districts with help. And hopefully some of the leaders in education or effectiveness can fill that void. But we will prioritize and concentrate what resources we have on the most needy districts and schools.
There's another 737,000 left to cut. Where is that going to come from?
I don't know. Hopefully today I'll get an insight to that. Chris, we have some outstanding top staff in our department, and they've done a thorough job, and they're looking everywhere. Hopefully it can come from some more operational cuts, but you can only go so far there, so we may have to cut a few more personnel, but I can't tell you at this point where that'll come from. But we're looking at other divisions too.
Do you think there's a misunderstanding about what actually happens at DPI? There always seems a lot of political rhetoric about people saying there must be more we can cut.
Yes, there is. And interestingly, the General Assembly gave us flexibility to make the cuts because at the end of the day, I don't believe they feel comfortable making the cuts, even though they continue to want us to cut back and continue to give us more work to do. But as you remember, the Senate proposed cutting our budget by 25%, and it ended up being a little over 13% over 2 years. It's my hope that when the General Assembly sees how responsible we've been and better understands our situation, that they'll reverse those second-year cuts that, again, go over 7%.
You mentioned the services that you would prioritize, the services to low-income districts or struggling school districts. I guess the other thing I'm always struck by is people don't understand how many services the department provides to school systems that can't afford to do that on their own.
Yeah, that's when you look at Charlotte-Mecklenburg and Wake County and many of the suburban counties, they have little need for our help. They have some need for our help, but it's the poor rural counties that need our help. And unfortunately, we still have a lot of poor rural counties that have a very difficult time raising the local resources to supplement what the state gives them.